Okay, so before anyone says anything, yes, I'm aware how long the video is. Suffer. Secondly, I just want to informally apologize for my extreme inability for consistency and apparent need to just disappear for like 2 years after promising to upload consistently. But consider this, I cannot be bothered to give a great googly moogly. No, but in all seriousness, when I left, it's because a lot of things went down. The extensive list is as follows, and you can feel free to skip ahead a little bit. My rent became so expensive, I may as well pay for a house. I then decided that's exactly what I should do and buy a house. I ended up getting into some shit, switched job locations, which is cool because it was closer to new said house. I went through an identity crisis about my channel, and I felt the need to redesign everything. I then didn't, but I might. It's a mystery. I still don't know. I started helping an animation group. I became a co-lead artist. I started to assist a game studio, became lead artist again. Started to assist a business, became lead artist. I need to stop doing this. I ended up switching positions and hours at my job. They sucked. I switched positions again. These hours were much worse. I switched once again. I may finally have consistency. I switched one more time. I have consistency, but no help. Huzzah! My computer's fan and its battery exploded. I could only do the bare minimum of work. My computer almost caught on fire. There's no longer a power cord. I no longer had a computer. Hard to do anything on a non-computer. My husband's computer actually caught on fire like the next day. I think we have a problem. My girlfriend's computer started to slow down a lot. It was no longer functional. My husband rebuilt his computer, my computer, and the girlfriend's computer. We lost all of our programs, resources, and files. All hope is lost. At least they increased processing power. I lost all availability to my old video editing software. None of the new software could handle big projects like mine. I had to relearn everything from scratch. Huzzah! I almost lost my art program too. Luckily I retrieved everything but my brushes. Also my projects are starting to get a little too heavy for my art program. I hate change. I don't want to change programs. Help. I lost my screen recorder too. At least I vaguely know OBS enough to force it to work. What a shame that I can only have it and my art program open, though, because anything more is too expensive. We gained 3 cats, 2 dogs, 2 fish, more fish, and a lizard. Also 2 snakes and some strange cooing bird, but they lived here before us, so we don't talk about that. Speaking of house guests before us, this house had wannabe contractors, quote-unquote, fix it. We face doom every day. We had to replace our water heater, our HVAC, we had to replace our watershed. Is there anything we don't have to replace? Nope, stove's on fire too. Microwave exploded a little. Fascinating. We have a child now. Holy shit, I'm terrified. Girlfriend lost her job because she's the one who had said child. Awesome. We gained a family of 4 to help them out. Exciting. They just recently got their own house, and we are excited. Many hospital trips and at least 1 funeral. Cool. I got injured on the job. I have workers' comp and I am slowly losing the use of my leg. Wahoo! My husband lost his job. Neat. 1 car got demolished by a charging buck. The second car got demolished by a flying buck. Life is lifing. The abridged version is that we moved to a house, moved jobs, computers caught on fire, and had a kid. And now all of our jobs are in jeopardy. So there's a bit of a struggle going on. Anyhow, I can't promise I'll be any better than I have been, but I figured I'd at least attempt to excuse my garbage behavior. I also wanted to mention I may be posting a few more videos of my Fusion series, but after I get those done, I think I'm going to lay off that series and try to make more time-consuming original and fan art. While I love Fusion and being able to explore different art styles and find out how to pick and choose the different pieces and what makes that style special, I can't just keep neglecting my own style, and with my life as it is, I kind of have to choose what I want to dedicate my time to. So, not saying the series is gone forever, especially since I was editing like 20 more videos anyways, just maybe it'll only happen if there's something that piques my interest. But yes, the video, it commences. Alright, so I went with the 20 art styles challenge. I always see people go for these kinds of challenges using like really popular media, but we all know I don't care about popularity. So, of course, I went for media I personally consumed or felt inspired my own art style. I also see a lot of people do the exact same pose over and over and over and over again with no background, and I can't. I apologize, but I get bored way too easily, and if I'm going to place my character in a world, they're gonna act like they actually belong there. Damn it. Additionally, I will cuss in this audio because, quite frankly, fuck any possibility of my videos being on the kids' side of YouTube. That's already a mess all on its own. So, The first art style that we have up, as per tradition, is my own personal art style. So I used my character, named Rachel Scott. So they do not have any specific pronouns because they are just a shapeshifter, so it's whatever. Currently, they are female presenting, so we'll go primarily with female pronouns, I guess. Speaking of, her shapeshifted beast form will appear on some of these pictures, which is why the warning says gore. There's no like blood or anything. She's just defeathered skin and I guess body horror. And yes, she is grayscale. I figure with age she forgot to care about the colors in the world, or she felt detached from the colorful intricacies of life. So that's not something I'm gonna change anytime soon. For my art style itself, I went for a simple cell shading version. I didn't feel like getting too fancy about it. I considered using a realistic, but honestly, she's not supposed to be quite correct. She looks just a little off from normal people. Her eyelashes are a little too long, just a bit too sharp. Sometimes her eyes are slanted a bit more than they should be. She may have forgot people got rid of vestigial attributes because she's been around for a while. And she just doesn't quite fit in. She just uncannies their valleys. Anyhow, it would have made the realistic portrait look very weird. And yes, I get that she's already odd with her furry looking self, but at least I got rid of her wings at some point. I also keep changing how I do the hair, so let's just ignore that. Alright, so the first style that I have, that's not my own style, is for Tim Burton. So I wasn't too sure if I wanted to do like the animated style or the sketch style he does, especially since like he switches around what he does a lot. He likes to experiment in his style. So I went for some kind of middle ground aimed a little bit more towards the sketch. I know that it would have been easy for me to just go with like something based off of Nightmare Before Christmas, which is what everybody knows, or Corpse Bride, which is actually my personal favorite Tim Burton movie. But I wanted to go with the sketch kind of look because I feel like it just shows much more emotion, it shows more form. Like, I just find it to be more appealing personally. So that's what I went with. This is also the first image that has any signs of the Beast version of Rachel. So I've noticed that like with Tim Burton, he tends to have very curly styles going on. So curled a lot of it, so it's still reminiscent of what the Beast looks like, but with a lot more flair. I also didn't really want to go ahead and add too much colors to it because once again, Rachel is kind of grayscale, and I noticed that Tim Burton tends to draw maybe on like sticky notes a lot. So going with something more monotone with sticky notes and like one highlighted color, it fit what I was going for, because usually with Rachel, if there is a color that's highlighted, it's the color blue. Secondary color would be like the color purple. So I felt like this overall fit the vibe I wanted to go with. Alright, so the next style we have is FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, the original spooky. Very cringe, I know. So I'm not gonna lie, I have some previous experience with some 3D modeling, specifically on Blender. So I could have modeled this, but I didn't feel like that would be correct. So instead I went with a drawn style because I think this challenge is supposed to be about emulating drawn styles. So I kind of copied how it looks when they have that just before a jump scare when they're caught on the film kind of style where it's all grainy and they're being real sus. I also wanted to make sure that anytime I drew my character that they fit something believable within the universe as well. So for some of these I will change her outfit, her species, her look, or whatever to what I think fits the best for them. So that's why she looks more animalistic here. So every FNAF game has a different style with some basic core components. So it made it a little hard to follow a specific game style because none of them exactly had what I was looking for. So I primarily am taking influence from FNAF 1, but I did throw in aspects from different locations, and I'm just gonna say she's from a different individual location or from a knockoff place, similar to how El Chip came from somewhere else. So I stole the faceplates from Sister Location. I emulated Foxy's kind of look, as Rachel isn't exactly any kind of specific animal, but a lot refer to him as a fox or a cat. They kind of look like a deer too, so I'm guessing it's because the freckles, but I think that works because the whole point is that they want to go ahead and blend into society, but they are kind of dangerous. So the original lore for her character makes her like several millennia old, and just like every once in a while she gets bored or some kind of chaos happens, she topples the society, who knows. So she just chooses a new form. So I figured that with her age, she should be a little bit old, a little bit broken down, probably from one of the first few establishments. So I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do for the eyes at first, but I figured having one eye just looking at the screen would be nice. I thought we'd fuck around and make it a bit more broken on the other side for funsies. And not too many animatronics have good representations of like clothing or anything. Half of them are just naked or have like a top hat or something on. So I checked out Baby and Roxy's fit, which this was the closest I could get to getting something to look like a hoodie. I also have a personal problem with things not making some form of anatomical or mechanical sense. So I agonized over how much I should care about robotics as a former nerd. So you'll notice like occasionally I'll draw what it would look like behind stuff. Like I think I did it with the mouth, especially just showing where the teeth would connect and like how the neck would connect and everything. Just because I want to make sure it could actually fit properly. And then we reached the hair. Dude, I could not decide whether to give them hair, leave them bald, what material to go with. Like, Ballora and Baby, they don't have hair, they have like this hard plastic fitting over their exoskeleton. Roxy had hair, but she got her wig snatched. It's a mess. So I just, to add to that older look, cause like it looks like in the older areas they have more of that plastic. I just went with the hard plastic so it has that old school idea. And I'm not gonna lie, I got a little lazy at the shading. I figured it's going to have a grainy look anyways and distortion. And you know, if the old school game makers can use fucked up TVs to just make things look proper, why can't I? Who's gonna care? Who's gonna tell anybody? Apparently me. I'm just gonna snitch on myself. So my main concern is that with my adamant refusal to change her colors for any purpose aside from just slightly adding a hue, because I need that grayscale, makes me feel some kind of way, makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, that she might blend into the background just a little, just a tad. But then I realized I'm putting more care into this than most AAA producers right now, and this is horror, so you know, whatever. I also decided I wanted to do kind of like a glowy effect to her eyes, because I've noticed in some of the games that like, if they're actually looking at you, their eyes tend to like light up. I don't know if that's like some kind of security thing or whatever, like showing recognition or whatever, but if they're staring at you or if they're just live or whatever, their eyes tend to glow a little, and it also helped to show the eyes through the graininess. So that was something else that I did. But yeah, this is the Five Nights at Freddy's. Put more effort into what could have been a less effort thing. Fantastic. Alright, so the next style was Steven Universe. Steven Universe. I was low-key, high-key, kinda sorta mad that in some of these styles that I was drawing, Rachel just be serving some looks. Like, she's looking a little cute. I did not intend for them to do that at all. So when I was drawing her, Steven Universe usually has people looking kind of comfortable in their own skin, something I don't personally understand. So I decided to make them a little more open up the jacket, show a little smile, show some teeth. Still uncertain, but hey, at least they look real friendly. Like, looks kind of like some kid who was cosplaying, who was on their way to the convention, got a little lost and had to ask for directions. Um, I kept getting lost in the sauce about the tail because, like, I wanted it to look fluffy, but wanted to avoid it accidentally looking curly, which is apparently a very hard thing for me to do. But hopefully, I got there in the end. This one also went really fast because of all the times I spent on weekly tactics. Dabbled in the style quite a lot. So, after all, fusion is just a cheap tactic to make weak artists stronger, and I'm really weak. So, I ended up making this one pretty fast. It was pretty much done before I thought about it. I don't think I spent too long on any of these really, but there was like 4 or 5 that just flew by, and this was the first one. Alright, next show up on the docket is Adventure Time. Show that ran for 200 episodes, and you wonder if you're supposed to watch all of them, but if you miss even a single episode, you've missed very important information. So, this is also the next fastest one. The hardest part of this one was honestly just choosing how Kirby to make Rachel. Like, she is an hourglass in nature, but I don't think she's like Fire Princess levels of Kirby. She's more of a full hourglass, so I ended up looking more at like Huntress Wizard shape to try to figure out Rachel's. Aside from that, honestly, I find that the backgrounds are the hardest thing to actually draw in Adventure Time art. Like, you either have a background that puts in zero amount of effort, and it's basically just one color, maybe some squibbles, or 100%. And it's always fun figuring out exactly how hard you should go. This is also the first obvious image where I show how often I mix up the ear and the hair color, and how often I also forget the freckles. Which, you may notice that in some of the future ones, I just ended up having to go back and correct that. But Adventure Time was a pretty big part of my childhood. I think I watched it like since middle school onwards. And with Fiona and Kate coming out and everything, it's seen a little bit of a revival. So I'm very excited to see where else it's going to go. At least with the Adventure Time style, though, she seems to fit in just a tad bit better. What with there being magical beings of all shapes and colors and sizes and everything. So, it all worked out. I just referenced Mr. Fox for her tail and ears and went on my merry way. Alright, so the next thing up on the docket is going to be Scott Pilgrim. I am kinda glad that I didn't post this thing for a year or 2 or something, because suddenly Scott Pilgrim, my beloved, has returned to popular media. I remember when I was a kid, I would just sneak into my brother's room to steal comics so I could read them myself, and I just really liked this kind of comic. Like, it still has elements of like fantasy or whatever, or sci-fi or something, but like the characters, especially the main crew, were more realistic. They were people. They weren't great. They were assholes. They hurt people. But I just enjoy seeing a character built that way. Like, just because you're a protagonist doesn't mean that you're inherently good. And like, honestly, the nicest character was probably the one that nobody expected. It was Kim, in my opinion. At a first glance, you would think that she was just the weird rude ex that just ended up sticking around or whatever, but as you learn more about her, you realize that she's probably the nicest one there. She just got a shitty end of the stick. But I just enjoy realistic depictions. I like how they actually feel like people. They feel like someone I could care about or someone I could really hate. I also enjoyed how the revival of the show is just, it's so different from the comics. Showing it as more of like an alternative universe where something just changed a little bit, and by making it so much more apparent that Scott isn't some goody two-shoes idiot. He's an asshole. He's self-serving. Like, he has too much going on. And since apparently people didn't grasp that in the movie, or the comics, or the game, somehow, I'm really glad that they showed that. And like, I'm glad that they showed that Ramona was always running. Like, she's not perfect either. She was the dream girl, but that didn't mean that she was a dream. So I was almost tempted to try drawing in the game style, but ultimately decided since I started with the comics that nothing could stop me from following that. I also decided to ignore any style choices done in the Lost at Sea comic due to it being very different. It was from a different time period, it was bound to have a difference in art style, so I didn't look at that too much. I also figured that the closest to Rachel's body style was probably going to be either Ramona or Kim, and ended up searching for references to them. Didn't have too many references of tails or furry ears, there just weren't too many animals showing up in the comics, so I just kind of winged it there and made her kind of look like an elf. As per always, just made Rachel looking lost and concerned on the corner. I imagine she got invited to a party, somehow decided to go, and then she just deeply regretted it and is considering ways to escape without anyone noticing. Just slowly inching closer and closer to that window, seeing if she could just hop out when they don't look. So the next cringe participant of this challenge is going to be Invader Zim. So, back in my days of being a wee lass growing up without a TV, the only time I really got to see most forms of shows was if I just happened to be at my grandparents' house and they just happened to leave the TV on. So one of the shows I watched was Invader Zim, so I had to toss that in here. I realized while I was searching for references that the new movie is just slightly, ever so slightly, in a new, different style, and it felt too clean for me. Everything was too crisp, it was too rounded, it didn't feel right, so I didn't want it to look like that. So I wanted the grunge, the grime, the filth of the original. So I spent like an hour scrutinizing every image that I found to see what would actually be helpful to get that original kind of look. And eventually I had to take the new show into consideration because there's just some body shapes that were hard to find. I almost made Rachel be one of the small fry kids because I kind of forgot adults even showed up in the show, except for like Professor Membrane, and he's basically a box, so that didn't really work out. And I kind of remembered there was a teacher, but after a bout of just staring at Gaz and Tack for like 20 minutes, my beloveds, I remember that there's a bunch of adults all the time constantly neglecting the kids in the show, and it would make slightly more sense to make Rachel be like at least a teenager or something. So made her a little bit taller, made her look a little bit more grown up, still made her stupid and awkward. So that's where we are with this one. And it didn't take too long, aside from searching for references. The main problem was just figuring out how to make it look like it was an average day without making it too bright and sunny. The next one that I choose isn't really a style, I guess. It is for Gorillaz, the band, which I really, sincerely, and truly went back and forth on the idea of even including Gorillaz as one of the styles of it. Literally every video they have is in a different animation style, sometimes with the individuals just being differently animated from one another. So they aren't even a show or an individual artist, but they are a media, so I do what I want. So I stared for a while at the different art styles, trying to find some common ground features, because I wanted it to actually look like it came from this world, even if it's not in any one specific style. And some of those features included the dumbass scrunch nose. I never really found anybody with a body shape I wanted, because most of the Gorillaz stuff is either Garbage Heap Monster, Dorito Man, Brick Wall, or Scrungly Creature of a Person, and half of them are made out of some conglomeration of trash. So I went for Scrungly, with a bit of a belly. Not that it really shows due to the jacket being an oversized piece of trash, but hey, at least my trash child works with it. I am overall happy with the look of the piece. I really like associating Goop and Slut with Rachel, so having a grungy kind of style like this with a lot of dirt and grime and all that stuff in obscene locations works towards that goal. Once again, Kubicast had problems finding any animals actually in this, so I had to wing it once again with the ears and tail. Kubicast. And I was at least able to steal the shading kind of style on the fur from some picture I can no longer find of Noodle with that fur coat making a fashion statement, as she always does, go off queen. But at least that gave me something to work with for now. Back to the sludge though, I didn't really have a reference for it, but I was just going based off of memories from way back in the past of my wee young years. I remember seeing some oil and stuff on Plastic Island when they had it in the interactive website, back when I was like 8. But unfortunately, the website was absolutely demolished, with it being based in Flash CC and how that was no longer supported for some strange and unfortunate reason. So, it's a shame, really. I actually really like when little interactives are being made for different types of medias. Not even necessarily games, but explorative interactives are just pretty cool. And the Plastic Beach Interactive gave the whole vibe of like MTV's Crib Show where you explore some famous idiot asshole's house with them. I miss that website. I miss the trash whale. And I miss being able to get like a kind of feel for the personality and lifestyle of these fake characters. But overall, I think this one went pretty good, regardless of the idea that I couldn't really find anything solid to attach the art style to. So, overall, I think I did a decent enough job with this. Okay, so the next one is Tokyo Mew Mew. So, I regret to inform everyone that this video could have been longer. I know, we all wanted it to be more than an hour long. I got it. If only I hadn't lost my precious line art and sketch. Alas, files corrupt with age and have to be brought to the cemetery. A shame, really. Anyhow, for this one, I flip-flopped on whether to go for a magical girl or alien, because alien would fit her story and aesthetic more, but being an animal girl made a little bit more sense to fit into the whole animal magical girl story. Also, yes, I refuse to call it Union Power. I am a firm believer in not swapping between dubs and subs if too much has changed within the show. So basically, any show before 2005. So, I refuse to accept anything that happened over there. I started in sub, I will end in sub. So, everybody is named after a food, and that's pretty much the only thing I accept. So, Rachel can actually keep her name, because it means little lamb, and as far as I'm concerned, lamb can be eaten, so she is Gucci. I do not have to change that aspect of her. So when I was doing my references, I ended up pulling most of it from Zakuro. It made sense. She had a bushy tail and big-ass ears. I know she's a wolf, but it's the closest vibe to Rachel's, so I yoinked just a little. I couldn't really follow the whole skimpy outfit idea, though. Rachel is uncomfortable 90% of their lives anyways. Why should I make them prowl around in damn near underwear? So I gracefully provided her more clothes than any of the other members in the Mew Squad. Someone has to protect magical girls. I thought about whether to make her skin tone more quote-unquote normal for a hot minute, but I just couldn't put color to her face. She looked wrong. I blame her being associated with the Arctic Fox as the in-show excuse, quote-unquote. Alright, My Little Pony. Yes, another style I am unfortunately so incredibly familiar with that I almost didn't even bother getting references for. I really couldn't decide between making him a Kieran or a changeling for Rachel, as changeling fits her being a shapeshifter, but Kierans also have alternate, potentially dangerous forms. So I decided she's a changeling that just hid among the Kieran for the longest time, and so 2 forms. I also decided her Kieran form gets to just glare angrily at the changeling form. Like, how dare you be the odd one out here? I am here trying to blend in, and this is the shit we deal with. The vibes are bad, bro. Also, yes, I know I made some departures from the show style. I know, changeling tails aren't transparent, despite the fact that they absolutely should be. And I know, the eyelashes, usually a solid color, no gradients, but consider this. I do what I want. Honestly, I've been drawing MLP for some friends of mine, especially one friend in specific, since I was in like 6th grade. So at this point, the show style is just a little bit too simple for me. So even when trying to be strict, I just kind of forget some things. Additionally, I refuse to draw the newest generation of MLB. I greatly dislike their puppet style. It looks like Teen Titans Go, and I will destroy myself if I have to follow it. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate there's more style to it, but it's just so choppy. I can't stand it. Now, the 3D style, I do like that. Movies are kind of nice, and then the 3D show also just fucks with me. Like, why did they have to do the dragons dirty like that? They are literally all recolors, and Spike? What happened to my baby boy? He wasn't even my baby boy until they hurt him like that. I had to join Boy Protection Squad. Horrible, disgusting, gross. Like, how could they do that to him? After all the different canon forms he had in G4, they could have gone with any one of those designs. Why did they choose this? Why the big spiky horse him? Hatred. Pure, unadulterated hatred. Anyways, this is the MLP style. I hope you like it. So the next one is, I want to say it's a little obscure, but it just really depends on what crowd you were in as to whether or not you knew this anime. It's called Pandora Hearts. So everyone had their first anime, granted. My first animes were like Cowboy Bebop, Elfen Lied, and Death Note, but this was the first anime I actually looked for and found on my own. Like, nobody showed me this, I just looked first. Anyways, I once again got absolutely lost in the sauce about where to go with this one. But I was like, wait, there's literally Black Rabbit Alice right there. This kid has a human form and a chain form. I can easily just do that for Rachel too. And even if that's not what the situation is, it's easy to believe Rachel has a contract with the beast form, so voila, problem solved. I just had to draw even more things. Great. For once, I didn't have much issue finding references to match Rachel, but more so the beast was an issue. Most chains are more toy-based or Wonderland-based, which makes sense. That's kind of the whole point of the show. But after struggling, I found some references that vibed well enough without having to base it off of some kind of Wonderland beast that I'd have to search even longer for. So, I ended up getting most of my inspiration for the outfit for Gilbert and stealing the ears from Cheshire and my beloved baby boys. Honestly though, all of the main characters are beloveds. Alice is just a mess, but she's a beautiful mess. Alice is just doing what he can when everyone keeps fucking him over. The whole crew is just a mood, a beautiful mess of a mood. I actually really like clothes from this era that it was inspired by, so I was super excited to be drawing something like this. Victorian and Edwardian clothes are very fun for me, especially the unnecessary amount of frills and poofs or overly formal jackets and blazers. So even with it being loosely inspired by that, I was excited to make Rachel not just dressed like a slob. I will say I am angry at this drawing for being so old in style reference that I had to make my own brush to help emulate the style. I don't generally care enough to make brushes because I like taking the hard route to prove I can. But that's a little different when it comes to line art. It's just a tad too small to do the hard way. I don't want to go in there and have to cut out the edges or bust it up or whatever. It's, I just can't do that. I was a little excited to do the hard cell shading in this picture though, because I very rarely just black things out. And the last time I copied an anime style directly like that, I was in like high school, which is well over a decade ago. I was excited to get back to my noob artist roots and cry over shadows that make little to no sense, but still seem okay. It's also interesting trying to ensure that I don't lose any important details in the whole process too. So I was having a little bit of fun with that. I was also really glad I didn't really have to change her skin tone that much. Like, all of the characters in this show, I don't know if it's just because of how old it is or because of like how the shading looks and everything, or if it's just, it's the Victorian age, everybody is ill anyways, but they all just look really pale. It might just be the plague, it's hard to tell the difference really. So, the main problem I had was just with the beast, but I think I got it to work out, made it look whimsical enough, made it look all fuzzy and stuff. But here's our fancy girl, or guy, or whatever, with their totally friendly beast form that only means them well. Definitely not trying to ruin them, it's okay. So this next one was actually one of the ones I had the most amount of excitement for. So most of the other ones were just shows that had a pretty big impact on me when I was growing up, but Ava's Demon was actually one where the style had a pretty big impact on what my style looks like. So both this art style and Ikimaru have had a pretty big impact on my art style when I was younger, so I actually got to interact with the author of Ava's Demon before, and she was really nice and respectful, and the fandom itself never really got too big, and at least from where I was, it never got to be too toxic. So I still enjoy this media, and I want to say it's still updating today, and I need to read it again. I really liked it. I also saw some speed paints of Michelle's, she is said author, when I was younger, so I can confidently say that I definitely did not follow her process at all when drawing this. So I got a bit of glee from seeing that different methods can reach similar conclusions. I am also aware that Ava's Demon did have a bit of an art style update, but I wanted to go based off of the original art style because that's the style I left the fandom knowing. By all means, both styles are wonderful. They're very clean, very beautiful, very colorful. I'm just running off of nostalgia for this whole challenge, and considering this whole challenge added up to about 47 hours of drawing, I needed something to fuel my desires. Nostalgia is it, buddy. Something Michelle did often do was that she would have a shape in the eyes as well, which, while I like triangles, the slitted eyes fit the diamond shape better, so we rolled with that. My rule of threes had to sit on the back burner, and my OCD had to get the hell over it. I also really enjoyed how cute Rachel came out for this drawing, again, which I blamed the hair for. However, I think she looks just a little younger than I intended, which is fine. She is ambiguously aged. Like, low-key, she's just a rip-off of me, so she's as old as I am, I guess. But I also think I may have made the line art just a tad too thick, but the thickness of the lines does change in the comics, so I can't complain that much. The only other thing that, like, I had really any difficulties with was the backgrounds, because, like, the backgrounds can get really detailed, but, like, I just didn't know where to put her. I just know I wanted fairy light, so I just rolled with that, put her in bed, made her be at home. She gets to be comfortable for once, but she is still concerned, as always. I just can't let her have a moment of peace. Since we were talking about it earlier, let's consider the idea of Cowboy Bebop. Honestly, growing up as a wee child, seeing Cowboy Bebop, it really introduced me to a lot of ideas that I just hadn't really considered. Like, the idea of a non-binary individual in a way that didn't make them inherently troublesome. Like, there was just people living their lives, people who were different, and it was never seen as a problem. Like, the only time someone was a problem is if the person as a character was an issue. It was never about their identity. So, as a non-binary myself, I appreciated it not being shown as indicative of villainy. Along with that, the music was a fucking mood. It slapped heavy, and I still listen to the seatbelts today. The movie also fucking balled, dude. It cooked. Like, it's not very often that you see something that was based off of a show that just didn't absolutely wreck it or retrofit it or whatever. It worked with it. You watched it, you continued, you moved on. It was great. And the entire show was fantastic. The idea of a found family, but also being able to find the self and move on. That everyone is just traveling through this hell of a land, sometimes together, sometimes apart. I dig that shit. Anyways, enough gushing about the story. Let me gush about the character designs. There was such a wide representation of different body styles and cultures, which really just helped to push the whole displaced species idea. But I really didn't expect so much diversity in such an old anime. It was very easy to find different body types and face shapes, and it wasn't inherently bad how they portrayed them either. They were just people. They had different kinds of looks. It was great. I will say, to oppose the youth I accidentally gave Rachel in the last picture, I made her look tired and old as fuck in this one. She has been through it. I am also glad I still have that brush from the Pandora Hearts picture, because I had to yoink that one for this one. It made it a little bit easier to make that whole grainy aesthetic. Building up the background was also very interesting, because Cowboy Bebop has more of like a neutral kind of color scheme. I didn't have to deal with super bright poppy colors, but it still has such pleasing backgrounds. Everything always feels so alive and lived in. Even the nature, there's just always signs of a life that was once had there. Honestly, I don't think I'm able to just not swoon over this show. I know it's old as hell, but it really was great. Even if it came into being because someone got a little too excited over making a show to sell spaceships and accidentally made a much more adult and emotional show than intended. Whoopsies. I also considered caring about the fact that Rachel is clearly not a human, but didn't care enough to think of an excuse for this one. For a show about space, there sure was very few non-Earth creatures in the show. So I guess my excuse is science experiment by the same dudes who experimented on Ein. I don't know. Make your own excuse. But overall, I just really liked what happened in this show. I really liked the story of it, the plot of it, and it showed me that shows can have more to them, even with less time on them. Like, you don't need 9 seasons, Supernatural, to tell a interesting and intriguing story. And when the story was done, it was done. So it's pretty high on my list of animes to watch. I know it's not for everybody. I know it's not super action-packed every second of every day, but it feels alive, and I like that. The next one that's going to be on my tally board is Gravity Falls. So after Steven Universe came out, Gravity Falls, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and The Owl House are some of the best representatives of pivot points for Cartoon Network and Disney to me. They really did show a change from only bright and happy smiles for cartoons to allow for deeper plots and controlled stories instead of a bunch of one-shot episodes. While Adventure Time definitely had a great plot, it could only get away with so much before the producers forgot to pay attention to the fact plot got sprinkled in. Anyways, Gravity Falls was really interesting to me because I hadn't seen much horror or outcasts as main characters in shows like these, so seeing that sharp turn was pretty neat, not gonna lie. With all the supernatural things going on around the town, I figured Rachel being a little freak would be pretty chill. And while I know there's the actual shapeshifter in the show, there's other monsters that change shape in the world, so I didn't want to base her off of him. I also made her teenage shaped because she's usually shaped that way anyways. Kinda get back to a neutral age group since the last two messed that up. This one also didn't take too long because, once again, I'm a nerd who draws fandom things like a lot, so this style wasn't a mystery to me. And this specific background area is actually one of the main ones I go for with Gravity Falls, so I already had a good idea of how to go about it. So I just placed her in the dark spooky woods, made her just chillin', vibing, doing teenager things. And that was about it for this art style. Next up is Teen Titans. I know I talked shit about Teen Titans Go earlier, but that's because it compares to absolutely nothing to the original show. Alright, so falling once again prey to the thing that I do is I never really watched too many episodes of this. It was another one of those shows I only saw at my grandparents' house, but damn if it didn't impact me. I believe every episode I saw just happened to be the emotional ones. Like the ones with Terra, Jinx, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg. Like, I guess I just got extremely lucky to see only the compelling episodes. I still want to watch the whole show, but I saw enough to get hooked. So I had to switch up her costume some. I know Beast Boy already does his own shapeshifting, but come on, we've got a lot of shapeshifting heroes out there staring at you, Martian and Mystique, so I'm allowed. I see Rachel as being a anti-villain or anti-hero who only gets involved if she's kinda dragged in. She just wants to chill in the background, get a solid nap, and maybe stare off into the middle distance a little. I just changed her outfit a little so it still reads as super, but low-key you could just see her walking down the street and assume she's just a regular civilian. So that's pretty much it that I did for this one. Once again, struggling with the backgrounds because I don't know quite exactly what to do with all that. So just threw her in an alleyway. That seems like her normal shindig. I think you'll be fine. Since it was mentioned, let's get back into Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So, I know a lot of people had beef with this show, and like, I get it. but I am one of the unfortunate few who actually like the ending. I'm not gonna say much in case people want to watch it, but I enjoyed the connections that happen. I think it makes sense considering the history explained, but I do think Star and Marco need to work on their relationships a little bit more. Like, Tom put more work into becoming a better person than either of them did combined. I like where they ended up, and I understand there's only so many episodes they can do, but like, come on, man. Once again, I am familiar with the art style due to, Weekly Tactics, so I wasn't lost with this drawing or anything, but for some reason, lining the eyes ruined my life for a minute there. The main issue I had was that the show randomly gets shading. Sometimes there's no shading whatsoever, and other times it's like James Baxter swooped in and bonked somebody with the animation bat and taught them how to draw dramatic lighting and fascinating poses. They'd be wildin' with it, dude, so I rolled with the most common style, which is no shading, and that's what we got. Another callback to an earlier rant. We're looking at the Owl House. I really liked how the show handled the different themes it presented, especially the whole family issues and found family aspects. I really enjoyed that it showed how a parent can have the best intentions, but still make mistakes. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person, it's just parenting's not perfect. And then there's also the cases of the parents who had given you quote-unquote the best in life and just ended up neglecting. They just weren't actually there for you. They were only there for you monetarily. This whole show was about destroying expectations to find out what seemed a giant mess may have been the better solution anyway. Anyhow, back to what I scribbled. Did anyone ever explain how there's the greater basilisk and how she looks so different to V and how she's just big and monstrous and loopy and V is just tiny? I mean, it could have easily been explained as V being classified as like a lesser basilisk, or that she was like starving, or that the experiments changed her, but like, it wasn't even touched on. Like, nobody mentioned it. They were just like, oh yeah, she's a basilisk, that checks out. What's the deal? Give me knowledge. Forgive me death. I need to know. Anyhow, while drawing, I think I accidentally stole Lilith's whole face for a second there, which is hilarious considering I don't even think I had a reference picture for her in any of my pictures. So that was fun. That was cool. I have a problem with accidentally stealing from the Goths. It's okay. I was able to make the beast pretty easily for this one, which is honestly surprising because usually I struggle with that real hard. I'm guessing it helps that there's so many scrungly little creatures on the Boiling Isles. It just makes it real easy to piece together a new creature. I also really enjoyed making the background for this picture. I just love how they make them so pretty while making sure to include the highlights and the more off-putting aspects of the isle. Honestly, when it comes to any kind of background, like especially in Steven Universe, that's a prime example of it. When you are able to make something so beautiful using just like gradients or small effects and still pushing the point very well and making everything look like it fits, like I really love backgrounds like that, and like the Owl House really has a good time doing that. So I just, while I didn't get a chance to do it in my picture, I really enjoy how the show tends to show a part of the Titan in most background focused shots. It really helps to establish that all of the biomes on the Isle are connected and made their own little ecosystem where everything is able to rely on the Titan. So it really helps out, especially when trying to push that narrative when in the future they leave the Isle to go to other places. It really helps to push that entire idea. For the shading, it was another case of the minimal shading that only pops up sometimes because someone got hit by the James Baxter stick. Because of that, I barely shaded anything at all. I really only shaded when I was trying to push movement. It appears that I'm one of those who knows Obama as the Homestuck president. So our next style is, unfortunately, MS Paint Adventures, more commonly known as Homestuck. Anyhow, this one was a little hard, not because the style is hard, but because there's so many guest styles in the comic. I was a little hesitant as to which style to go with. While I could have gone with the super simple pixel art character introduction style, I decided it was lineless jelly bean for me. It would allow for a little bit more movement while still being a classic TM. Honestly, the worst part was trying to decipher which font was used and at what size on MS Paint. Additionally, fun fact, while Homestuck, Jailbreak, and others are hosted on MS Paint Adventures, only one panel was actually drawn on MS Paint before Hussey said that shit ain't gonna fly and switched to Photoshop. I guess he realized animating in MS Paint was gonna be a whole hassle. As someone who animated in MS Paint before, he sure is not wrong. So, with the background, I ended up just making a new planet for Rachel to exist on. Most planets are made to juxtapose the kid on it, but I like contradictions, so why not make the sky the ground and the ground the sky? Who can stop me from making trees clouds and clouds bushes? Nobody. Another fun thing of waiting for so long with this project is there was a animated pilot put out for this recently. I'm not quite sure how that's all gonna work out, considering how in the time and current it was when this comic came out. So I'm not sure if they're going to try to adjust for that, or if we're all just going to only have nostalgia to run off of. So good luck with that, I guess. Alright, so I confess, I am a fake fan for She-Ra and the Princess of Power. I never really watched any of the original She-Ra. Dare I say it, I actually saw He-Man way more often. Outside of the reboot, I know approximately jack and shit about She-Ra, aside from her being He-Man's long-lost sister or cousin or whatever. Confession aside, my second crime is that I used Double Trouble as my scapegoat. They shapeshift, Rachel shapeshift, and there's enough lizard features I can push to fit with her overall design. I ended up going with kind of an axolotl idea to explain all the notches and curves in the tails and ears. I figured pirates are just a smidge to the left of Victorian style, so I tried to push for something similar to what some of the seafarers wore. Gotta stick to my brand somehow. It's either Victorian, goth, or hobo all the way. Sometimes it's all three if I'm spicy enough. I also figured that if she was to have a weapon, long range is probably it. Since a bow happens in a different picture somewhere in the near distant future, a spear is what we're gonna have for here. Also, I know we've been pushing the purples and blues on all of her pictures, but I decided to give her some ace representation in her beads. In case anyone had any doubts, yes, my self-insert is just as ace as I am. Who would have guessed? So, she's just a little bit of a troublemaker, out on the seas, just doing fun things, stealing identities, just a little, just a tad. Carrying on her merry way. Okay, so now we have Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, this style stressed me out the most. And you're like, But it's just anime to the left. Yeah, okay, I know, but consider this. No? Look, Avatar does their research. Just looking at the outfits, you can see how each nation reflects a different real life culture. And all of the outfits, even the later ones in Korra, are heavily inspired by real historical fashions. They all respectfully borrow from those cultures and update the outfits in ways that are realistic to that ecosystem, time frame, and moment in technological advancement. Considering this, I figured I'd have to do my own research. So, in backstory of whatever Rachel's gonna be, first things first, Rachel is a spirit. She took a good amount of inspiration to the Painted Lady of the first series with Aang and Katara and the rest, but I also wanted to base her on a Hulijing, so I wanted to make sure I separated the look enough from a Kitsune, which belongs to more of a Japanese culture. The next thing I looked into was the outfit. I wanted to make sure I stuck within the same culture, so I looked at some historical outfits. At first, I was thinking of doing a Chang Song, but I found the Hanfu to be closer to my personal aesthetic, and I went down that road instead. I also wanted to give Rachel a better chance of wearing something that covers enough that she could potentially walk among people and it may not seem too much out of place. So the huge straw hat could hide her ears pretty well, and if she's keeping her tails down and not getting too damn excited, it could just look like a long skirt. So on, so forth. I thought about making the skirt a little bit longer, but I also wanted to show off the markings I had on her legs. I figured if the Kyoshi warriors could wear heavy makeup, people could just assume her markings are just makeup, and that she just wears gloves on her hands. In regards to the shape-shifting, all of the spirits have shown that they can change in shape, shown as early as the episode with Haibe, the black and white spirit who turns into a panda bear. And with Rachel being a Hulijing, she would be allowed shape-shifting either way. So, with Avatar, the biggest issue I ever have in regards to the actual art style itself is actually with backgrounds. They usually have a painted look with blurred edges, which can make it interesting to copy, but then sometimes the background changes, especially when in the spirit world or when regaling the crowds with stories, so I tried going with the kind of backgrounds I saw mostly in references to the spirit world. Unfortunately, it does mean that the picture looks more stiff because the spirit world just doesn't have as much detail to its backgrounds. Otherwise, I think it still fits the art style pretty decently, but I don't think I really like drawing in Avatar's style just because of how much I'm scared of messing up. I also want to apologize if I said any of these words incorrectly. I did try looking up some of them before, but I didn't exactly have somebody to ask face to face. So, once again, gonna apologize for any mispronunciations on this. Alright, and for last but not least, we're gonna go with probably the game I played the most as a kid. And I'm not just talking about the whole entire series of Spyro, which I did play pretty decently. I played the original series a lot, but I actually played this trilogy more than anything. So I'm back at it again with copying a 3D art style with a 2D medium. Despite a lot of protest from Spyro fans, I actually really like this trilogy. I know it's a departure from the normal Spyro style, but I really enjoyed the story, art, and music of these games. Speaking of Spyro music tracks, if anyone ever told me that Trent Reznor was involved in the original trilogy's soundtrack, I would accept it full stop, despite knowing it's absolutely false. There's just something in the tracks that really gives a Nine Inch Nails vibe, and I will take my false beliefs and go now. So, in this trilogy, there's not too many creatures in the games I could shove Rachel into the slot of, especially like with her being a shapeshifter, so I went with what matched more appearance-wise. So I went with the catfolk, like Hunter. I figured the Lynx look has the closest look to Rachel's tufted ears. I also just wanted to give her a bow because I like bows and it's long distance and it made sense to toss her in there. So I also really enjoy a ranger kind of attire, and the attire that they wear could excuse a lot of her color dispersion and gives her an excuse to wear clothes. Overall, it worked for me. It was either that or making her a dragon, but that's too predictable. So we're going full furry over here instead. She got the scaly treatment with the She-Ra drawing. She deserves some diversity. Speaking of a 3D style, I was once again being able to barely scooch by due to the old quality of the game, meaning everything is just blurry enough for me to cook in peace without needing to put a whole lot of detail into everything. While I remember the game being super pretty, I really feel like it did that common trick that most older games did of relying on the TV quality to fill in and boost its appeal, and damn if it didn't succeed with it. So I did not know what to do with the background for this picture, and I just kept flip-flopping in my head. At some point I considered like a bamboo forest or something, and I got pretty far on it, and then I deleted it, and then I tried it again, and I deleted it, and I really didn't want to do that. There's so many more pretty water features in these games, and floating islands, and night skies, and I couldn't just avoid looking into one of my favorite in-game locations. So I did that instead and tossed her punk ass into Twilight Falls because I needed it. It was required, in fact. Anyhow, as much as I think she sticks out from the background, I did see that in the game. It's almost like the characters have like a glow to them, so her sticking out like that kind of fit the style better. Trust me, I played with the multiplier layers about it. I'm aware of what would have looked nicer and what would have been truer to style, so I picked and chose and I made my decisions. Alright, an hour of talking and dealing with my annoying voice. Fantastic, wonderful. Alright, so we're at the end of the challenge. So, I'm gonna go over my basic things. What I enjoyed about this challenge. I enjoy copying art styles because I like seeing the different things and tactics that people use in making the art style and what patterns I can recognize from one to the next. And I really enjoy actually getting to explore those styles. What I could have done better. Maybe I could have spent a little bit more time on some of these, especially on some of the ones that were actually 3D for some reason. But I was trying to limit how long I spent on it, especially since I was already at 47 hours when this ended. So I called it quits when I felt like I had to. Did I succeed? I think that these are pretty close to what it looked like in the games, and in the movies and in the media in general. So I want to say I did a decent enough job, but I'll let you guys decide on that. And how does this help you artists? As I was stating earlier, it helps to go ahead and see these kinds of patterns and everything. It helps to see what different artists will do, what kind of methods they use to actually create their own art style. Along with that, playing around with these art styles can help to improve your own and can help you to actually decide on what's been missing from yours. I'm not stating to just straight up copy someone's art style and never move on from there, but it is a good starting point. This is a good way of teaching yourself. I personally have been doing fan art for a long time, and I found out that if you're planning on becoming a professional artist, one of the best ways that you can show that you can do something is if you can actually copy someone else's style. So I feel like this is very helpful in that regard. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed my hour-long video, and I will see you in like another year, I guess. See ya.